right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another unique edition of STEM Connector's ongoing What's Working series. I'm Ashley Zofer. I lead external relations and strategic brand engagement here at STEM Connector. And we have such an awesome group of individuals with us today presenting on virtual K-12 resources. And we're very excited to dive into the content. In case any of you were not on the last webinar or are new to STEM Connector, just want to let everyone know, so we are a professional services organization working with a cross-sector of leaders to build a diverse and sustainable STEM workforce. We do that through providing access to data and research on the STEM talent ecosystem, fostering connections among our innovative leaders, and amplifying the work happening across our network. So as many of you already know, this What's Working series really helps to keep the STEM Connector community on top of promising practices and initiatives happening across our network. So we know that the world and the way we do business is currently in a state of upheaval. We're all working together to stay safe and healthy, but also continue to remain connected across virtual platforms. And so many of STEM Connector members have myriad programs and initiatives available to support you in this challenging time. So today is the second in an ongoing series of these What's Working webinars that are focused specifically on virtual resources for K-12 students from our member and our partner organizations. We know many of you are now homeschooling or planning for an undefined future of learning for your kids or your students, and we're just here hoping to help make that as seamless an experience as possible. Complementing these webinars, our follow-up is information and also a digital download with key information about each of the resources showcased here and also how you can access them. So we're going to be providing additional webinars and Twitter chats on themes from post-secondary learning, mentoring for women and girls in STEM, reaching rural communities and others on an ongoing basis. So please do keep following us on social media and the STEM Daily newsletter for information about those future virtual engagements and how you can participate in them. Thank you also just so much to the members who have really worked in rapid response with us to get this content out to all of you. So many people jumped on this opportunity, got slides together, and really got these presentations together in such short order. So we're so excited to be working with all of you. We continue to be open to feedback, though, on the series and any ideas about themes we should be highlighting or ways we can improve this outreach. One thing to note on this particular webinar is that, similar to other ones, we're not going to open it up for live questions. If you do want to ask about a product or program featured here, you can use the chat function on the webinar or just follow up in an email, and we will be sure to direct your question to the speaker for follow-up. We will also be recording this webinar and sharing it out to you with all of you, in addition to sharing the slides. So you'll be able to revisit this content as needed. So on that note, thank you so much again, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Ted Wells, who is going to begin introducing our panelists.
Next week, we will have another webinar, but that one will actually be at will be at 1 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. So look for information on that webinar. We have 4 great organizations today, and I'm going to introduce the first to you right now. The CEO of Imagine Learning. Imagine Learning is a company based, an educational technology company based in beautiful Provo, Utah. Imagine Learning believes that every child deserves a chance to enjoy learning and the right to fulfill their unique potential. It's been around for about 15 years, and they've been helping students acquire, develop, and strengthen the language skills necessary to fully participate in academic settings and prepare for college and careers. We know that foundational skills are critical to students' long-term success in STEM careers and STEM study. Today, Imagine Learning is providing a complete suite of adaptive digital curriculum and assessment solutions for pre-K through 8, delivering unmatched excellence in language development, accelerated learning across all subjects for students. We'll be hearing from 3 people, so stay tuned as I introduce the first person we'll hear from is Jeremy Cowdrey, the CEO of Imagine Learning. Jeremy has been with the company since 2006, which is pretty early if you're doing your math on the history of Imagine Learning. He has a long career in educational sales and marketing. He worked for Imagine Learning, Scott Forsman, Addison Wesley, Pearson, and Novell. And he has a deep-seated belief in the value of education as the first person in his extended family to graduate from college with a BS in business administration. So Jeremy's going to provide the overview for Imagine, and then we'll hear from Amber Orenstein, who's Director of Product Management at Imagine Learning, where she leads the vision for language, literacy, and mathematics instructional solutions aimed at creating measurable outcomes for children in pre-kindergarten through 8. Amber has been deeply focused on education, first as a classroom teacher in Teach for America core, and then in various roles in educational technology. She believes in the joint powers of diversity, equity, inclusion, and strives to imbue these values in both teams and the products she builds. Finally, we'll hear from Dana Pavinsky, my friend, who's the Director of Strategic Development for Imagine Learning. Dana builds amazing relationships with leading corporate and foundation partner STEM organizations and school communities to positively impact educators, students, and families through Imagine Learning's pre-K through 8 digital programs. Dana's worked at 2 national nonprofits, Mind Research and Kaboom, where she was a sales leader, and she was also a sales leader in the hotel industry. And Dana lives in Wilmington, North Carolina, with her husband and Pitbull, and Rescue Pitbull. And Dana also helps her husband manage their small business. So she's very busy. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy and let you take it from there.
Thanks, Ted. It's our pleasure, Imagine Learning, to be here today and to speak with all those that are participating virtually. As Ted stated, Imagine Learning started 15 years ago. Our focus really has been to build digital curriculum that helps students, regardless of what their background is, to acquire skills in mathematics, literacy, and language. And so we truly believe that every child deserves the chance to enjoy learning and the right to fulfill their unique potential. Next slide, please. So one thing that's critical is that all students are academic language learners. Think about a classroom environment and then the home environment. A child might go home and experience what their parents have experienced during the day, and that's the academic environment that they might be in. But really, it's our goal as a company to make sure that students are exposed to and see other experiences around the world and be exposed to that. So all students are academic language learners. Please, next slide. Our excellence in language development accelerates learning across subjects and transforms all students into stronger, more confident learners. We have 600 employees spread around the country that are helping schools every day. We work with thousands of school districts, and we're in the top 25 districts working daily to try to help these students to master both language, literacy, and mathematics that will open doors of opportunity for each of them. Next slide, please. During this COVID crisis, Imagine Learning, it's been a very interesting time for us. Our employees have all scrambled to work from home as we've closed our offices to help contribute to curing this virus. And in our at-home environment and working, our employees are also parents and now have become teachers in the home. Well, what we've done is we've offered our products across the country to districts that partner with us to make sure that more students can have access and great digital materials. So this partnership that we offered starting 3 weeks ago has, in that 3 weeks time, has added 374 districts and over 3 million students using our programs. Next slide, please. One great example of that is about 3 weeks ago on a Friday afternoon, New York City called us and said, we are transitioning next week to learn from home. We need some help. And we quickly, within a few days, rostered over 1 million students and provided access to students so that they can further their literacy and mathematics skills and also have opportunity to learn from home. So we are pleased to be a partner of STEM Connector and to further the cause and help all students with language. I'm going to turn the time over to Amber Orenstein, our wonderful Director of Product Management.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Next slide, please.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amber Orenstein, and I'm the Director of Product Management over our 6 instructional programs at Imagine Learning, where we focus on language, literacy, and mathematics. During a few minutes today, I'm really going to dig into math. Ted mentioned I was a classroom teacher, and most of that time was actually spent as a middle school math teacher. So math is really important to me. It's where I've spent most of my career, and it's something I've loved my whole life. I'd love to share this quote with you from Phil Darrow, one of the authors of the Common Core Standards of Math. He said that you can't learn math without language. There is an old idea that you can work around the language, just get the content. This isn't true. And we know that when we think about career readiness in STEM, when I work with our engineers every day, STEM is all about communication. It's all about problem solving, not alone, but together. And so language is a critical component of all of our programs, especially our math programs. Next slide, please. We support students from pre-K through 8th grade in acquiring the language of mathematics. So as you can see from these screenshots of our early learning math program, we use multiple models from pictures, numbers, and vocabulary words with fun, engaging art to really make vocabulary palatable. This art is couched within storylines that are age appropriate and frankly really fun for kids. And so that way they're learning vocabulary in context. And as we know, kids love to sing songs and to share what they're learning. And so we really provide them with a great tool so they can take language in context and share it with those around them. Next slide, please. For older students in grades 3 through 8, we provide live certified bilingual teachers who are former classroom educators now working virtually from home. Many of them have been doing it for several years, chatting with students to help them through math problems when they struggle. What's really important to this is that our live teachers aren't answer givers or answer getters, but they really engage students in rich mathematical discourse by using open-ended questioning and wonderful talk moves to ensure that kids really understand the mathematics. We also require that students try first before they engage with a live teacher, so we're facilitating more productive struggle with our students. Our teachers are available in English and Spanish, and again, they're certified educators, not a tutor and not a chatbot. These are real classroom teachers available to kids through extended hours. Next slide, please. In addition to software, as a former classroom teacher, I oftentimes think about what happens beyond our software. As Jeremy mentioned, we are a digital supplemental also intervention product. And so we know that there's a lot of things that kids do outside of the software. And so I wanted to share some tips around how to engage in math talk at home. The more we get kids to talk about math in their everyday lives, the more they're ready to engage in math in their future careers. So first and foremost, let's encourage and praise productive struggle. For so much of my childhood that I can remember, and for so many of us in general, math was a practice of answer getting and of getting to the right answer fastest. And we know that for kids to be STEM career ready, they need to be comfortable struggling, getting the wrong answers, trying again. And so it's really important not just to praise your children at home and to praise students for being right, but for praising their perseverance, for praising their ability to explain their work, even if that work isn't quite yet correct, because they'll eventually get there. And when they do, they'll do so with rich understanding and persistence to solve unimaginable challenges like the ones we're facing today. Additionally, let the student become the teacher. Kids love sharing what they're learning. And so be ready to listen and ask open-ended questions like, why do you think that? Or tell me more about how you got your answer. And really letting your child share with you what they're learning. And then lastly, make math talk a part of everyday routines and activities. I know that one very contrived example, right, could be playing Monopoly or using a recipe to cook and to measure. But even things like walking around your neighborhood, if you're able to get outside even for a little bit to go on a socially distanced walk, noticing the patterns in the architecture or plants around you. Patterns in nature are such a great way for kids to see that math really is all around them in their world. Next slide, please. At Imagine Learning, we've really quickly ramped up additional resources for educators as well as families, both for folks who already partner with us and use our programs, as well as just for the public in general. So we've got information about our programs and access directions, along with fun videos and some great printable resources, because we know that not all learning can happen digitally. And so we've ensured that educators and families have access to printable resources so that way kids can work offline as well. Next slide, please. Additionally, we've engaged in a longitudinal study with a wonderful foundation partner and an urban school district to really figure out how can we bring math into the home. For many people, math is a really scary topic. And so we've partnered with the Great Foundation to conduct research and to build some research-based resources on our Family Math Hub, including videos in English and Spanish from our live certified teachers. Next slide, please. Additionally, and this is probably my favorite thing, we've added a ton more content to our YouTube channel. specifically focused on pre-K through 2. My background personally is in music. I love singing, playing instruments, and grew up playing the piano. Music is such a great way to learn mathematics, to recognize patterns. And so we've put up some great songs. They're frankly very catchy, and I hope you can check them out and enjoy them. Next slide, please. All right, I'm gonna pass it off to Dana to close us out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber. So as everyone is learning as we go, we are all right now reimagining learning. Next slide, please. So we recently introduced free virtual events for district leaders and educators during school closings. You can join our educational equity webinar today at 4 p.m. Eastern. As many are aware, the current COVID-19 crisis has particularly highlighted educational inequities within school systems. We will define educational equity, provide historical context, and address how districts are approaching equity given the current crisis. We have over 2,300 participants registered, and we invite you to join us by going onto our website or through this bit.ly link provided. Next slide, please. So EdTech is accelerating and innovating at a rapid pace to meet the immediate needs facing our education system and the at-home learning environment. We just wanted to simply thank all educators, students, and families working so hard to continue learning, even in our most troubling times. You can visit us at imaginelearning.com or connect with us directly at partnerships@imaginelearning.com to learn more about our partners, their needs, and partnership opportunities. Everyone be safe and healthy, both emotionally and physically. Thank you.
One question I just saw pop up was that can individuals access the Imagine Learning Suite, or do they need to work in concert with their school?
A great question, Todd. Really, for Imagine Learning, our partnerships and being able to provide the best service is number one. We have not structured our organization to be able to handle individual consumer based inquiries. So we would encourage all individuals to go work through their schools to make sure that they get access to Imagine Learning. It's really more about us providing the great resource and service that people deserve.
Yep, great. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for your presentation. And I will say that webinar, I know that I saw Stephen speak earlier this year when I was at the Imagine Learning Partners for at the end of last year, and he's a great speaker. So definitely encourage people to tune in. With all this extra time you have not commuting to work or whatever, I know people who have children at home are like laughing at me that they don't have time. So moving on to our next presenter is the TGR Foundation. And we've been working with the TGR Foundation is a Tiger Woods charity that's been around for about 25 years and based in Southern California. TGR is, while Tiger Woods is a golfer, he's very interested in helping people pursue their passions through education and offering underrepresented students the resources, the support they need in order to thrive in school and beyond. TGR is a pioneer in positive youth development and encouraging self-advocacy skills in young people. And their programs are designed to foster a growth mindset so that youth have the skills and knowledge to persevere and to find their own path. They provide award-winning STEM curricular resources, college access programs, digital platforms, and educator professional development. Today, we're going to focus on TGR EDU, which is their digital, TGR EDU Explore, which is their digital platform that was launched in 2017 and has reached over 1 million students. So while TGR is working hard with students in the Southern California area and other venues where they have, I believe, Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, where they work directly with students, they're also trying to reach more students by leveraging technology. And this time, I think you'll be very impressed with some of the resources that our presenters will share with you. I'll get to them in just a second. This TGR EDU is a resource that was designed for students in grades 6 through 12. And if those of you who are familiar with our State of STEM resource, one of the big pieces that we've talked about in State of STEM is the need for navigational resources to help students understand the options in front of them, particularly students who are navigating these pathways for the first time. If you don't have somebody in your home that's saying go to college, you know, it's helpful to have these navigational resources, or you come from another culture or country where the post-secondary space is different. So today we're going to hear from two people. Eric Moore, who's the Senior Director of Digital Programs for TGR Foundation. Eric oversees the growth and direction of TGR EDU Explore, the free online platform for educators, students, and families that was developed in partnership with Discovery Education, who you heard from in our last webinar. This resource provides tools and resources to help implement authentic STEM learning experiences and open up post-secondary pathways for students. Eric is a former teacher and STEM expert and has over 10 years of experience leading interdisciplinary project and inquiry-based programs for both students and educators that aim to prepare all students for success. Next, we're going to hear from Kathy Beer, Dr. Kathy Beer, who's the Vice President of Programs and Education for TGR Foundation, and where she provides direction to the personnel, programs, and operations of the TGR Learning Labs and the Earl Wood Scholar Program. Prior to joining TGR Foundation, she was principal of Vista View Middle School in Fountain Valley, California. Kathy is the 2019 chair of the STEM Funders Network, a national organization providing STEM resources to help students, teachers, parents, and out-of-school providers better inspire and prepare youth. She's on several boards, and she also is an adjunct faculty member at the Rossier School of Education at USC. So I will turn it over to Eric and Kathy.
Thanks, Ted. Really appreciate the time to be here today with STEM Connector. I'm going to kick things off a little bit to explain a little bit about TGR Foundation. Oftentimes people are really surprised by the fact that we've been around for over 24 years at the foundation. And you know, this really is Tiger's vision to have an opportunity to influence educational circles in STEM as a way of, you know, directing his own philanthropy. Our vision as an organization is really to kind of level that playing field, a world where opportunity is universal and potential is limitless, where it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is, that there's an opportunity for you. And for our young people that participate in our programs, we really are trying to help empower them to pursue those passions through education and help direct them into an amazing future. So I'll lay a little groundwork about our programs and such, and then I'll turn it over to Eric so he can talk more specifically around TGR EDU Explore. Back in 2006, we launched the TGR Learning Lab, which is a physical location that you see on the screen there in Anaheim, California, where we serve young people both after school and during an intensive week-long field trip experience from the local area. So we've been developing and creating STEM learning content since that particular time. In addition to that, we have a scholarship program as well, where we work with high potential, low income students, those from high needs areas that really need that extra boost to get into college. And it's more than just a scholarship check, but really a suite of resources, including a mentor, helping our scholars receive internships while they're away at school, and also helping them learn how to transition into the workforce. Several years ago, we realized that our content was really making a difference in the local communities in Anaheim and across the country. As we were collecting data, we thought, you know, Tiger's vision really is to reach millions of kids around the world. And we really felt an important way to do that was to take what we were learning and share that knowledge with educators. So we created a professional learning program, TGR EDU Create, that really works to incorporate interdisciplinary approaches through inquiry and student-centered content that is focused on STEM, college access, and career connections. We're really trying to help our educators reposition the way that they're teaching in the classroom and focus on helping prepare young people for life after they get out of high school and beyond. A few years ago, again, a couple of years now, we started putting our sights on a global program as well, where we are also working with educators from all over the world. and trying to also help give them the right skills that they need in order to build future business leaders and from the students that they work with. So we're spending a lot of time in STEM education, and TGR EDU Explore, which Eric will talk about in here in just a minute, is really designed around helping us give educators, students, and their families access to our curriculum and content. And all of the resources I should mention here that we've talked about, whether it's for teachers or students or families, are all offered free of charge through TGR Foundation and the generosity of our donors and funders. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric and let him talk a little bit about Explore.
Great, thank you, Kathy. As you saw, we have a variety of in-person programs with students and teachers and families. And so the genesis of Explore was a few years ago. We actually partnered with Discovery Education, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with, to help digitize a lot of our curriculum, resources, and training for teachers, and put it up online and make it free and available nationwide. So the areas that Kathy mentioned, the STEM subjects are prominent. We also have resources in the college application process and financial aid process. And what I wanted to do is just kind of quickly show you what that website looks like. So hopefully my technology will work here. So this is the webpage here. This is tgreduexplore.org. And again, it's free and open access. You'll see at the top, we do have a curriculum tab. We have a tab for families, and we have a tab for a virtual field trip. I'm going to show you what the curriculum tab looks like here. When I click, you'll notice there are dozens of resources. I won't scroll to the very bottom. Some are student-facing resources, like you see here at the top in the yellow bars, the digital experiences, anywhere from about 20 to about 45 minutes, self-paced modules for students, both in the areas of STEM and college access. You also see we have a variety of lesson plans, pretty comprehensive lesson plans that come with both a PowerPoint presentation and a PDF lesson plan. So kind of plug and play resources for educators. Just to give you an example of what one of the digital experiences looks like, this is our To Our Solar System and Back, one where students actually take on the role of a planetary scientist. They learn things about spectrometry and astronomy and launch systems and whatnot. And this is kind of what it looks like, the experience when you get started. Pretty engaging for students. There are a variety of questions they answer along the way. They learn about a variety of careers and so forth. One more thing I want to show you is just what one of the lesson plans looks like. This one's called Entomology Explorations. And you'll see it's pretty comprehensive plan for teachers. It includes a lesson overview, materials that are needed, and a step-by-step guide, including worksheets and handouts for students. And I should say a lot of this is fairly adaptable for remote learning, and we're continuing to develop additional resources now that we all find ourselves kind of sequestered at home. So with that, I'm gonna throw it back to Kathy to finish us off.
Yeah, so kind of to tag on a little bit to what Eric was talking about and the work that we've been doing primarily since the last 4 weeks, since we're all kind of sequestered at home, we really started looking at understanding that the educators that we work with may or may not have had the right activities and are ill-equipped really to think about online learning. And so we really quickly mobilized our team. We've been doing digital workshops and like a webinar like this for some time now. So we decided let's get online quickly and try to offer our resources, not only in how to conduct online learning, but also some things around different types of content that they can use as well. So we quickly kind of put that together and have continued to offer digital webinars and have recirculated some of the initial webinars that we've done in the past as well. And all this material is available on our website. You can get to it from there, training videos and the like. If you're an educator or you're a parent working from home, we invite you to go on and take a look and see how that might help support the work that you're trying to do. The other piece that we felt was really important in this time was to disconnect from the internet and just from the computers and so on, and give families a chance to tackle some design challenges. So we have ready to go now 15 activities in English and in Spanish that are available for download on our website. They use household items and challenge families just to have good conversations and a good time around learning some things in STEM and just having some good family time. And we put some videos up there as well, and are also looking at how we can provide the same content to families that are coming from high needs areas where maybe they don't have internet access. So we're in active communication with school districts around the country to share these resources, get them printed and sent out to families as well. So that's something that we're currently working on. And then finally, also a nice piece that I guess the silver lining in the COVID-19 area has been the ability for us to focus our attention on ways that we could add value to this space and for educators and families. We've created some additional video resources under the title STEM Unplugged, and they are activities that you can do at home. We started out with kind of a rock candy making, and it really talks about the chemistry behind what it takes to create some rock candy. There's a new one that's going to be launching, I think, later this afternoon. And this STEM Unplugged is really inviting families to get outside and take a journal and really just use their senses to really notice what's going on around them and do a bit of a nature walk in your local neighborhood. So lots of fun and great activities there. We invite you to participate in. And in terms of how you can, and what we hope here is that if something resonates with you, that you would push this information out to your networks and just share these resources. If you're not part of our educator community, just become part of it. We've got lots of resources, some really wonderful staff as well that will contact you and be a resource for you. So every Friday we're hosting Create Cafe, which is an opportunity for folks to come in and get some guidance and help on maybe implementing some of these activities or some of the other activities as well. And so I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Eric. TGR is an amazing organization. We are very fortunate to have them as well as our other presenters as members, to count them as members of the STEM Connector community. And I think that this group of presenters just take a moment here to take stock of who we have speaking today. So our next presenter is going to be the Actuarial Foundation. So a nonprofit organization, but clearly associated with supporting a profession. And I'll tell you a little bit about them. We just had Tiger Woods Foundation, which is the TGR Foundation, which is a national organization that does work also in its local community. Imagine Learning. Last week, the last webinar, we had educational providers of resources as well. Mind Research Institute and Discovery Education, the Museum of Science in Boston. So we count some pretty impressive folks in our member group, and that's why we're sharing these resources with you. And we have 2 additional presentations today. We're looking forward to hearing from them. Our next is going to be from the Actuarial Foundation, which is a 501c3 organization and the philanthropic organization for the actuarial industry in the United States. I learned in doing some research that the Actuarial Foundation actually is supported by 4 actuarial societies, as well as individual donors, and it's been around since 1994, promoting lifelong math education and financial literacy through its learning resources and scholarships. The mission of the foundation is to enhance math education and financial literacy through the talents and resources of actuaries. My uncle and my college roommate were both actuaries, and well, my college roommate still is. And I'm aware of how important math is to the profession. We're going to hear today from the Executive Director of the Actuarial Foundation, Jason Lepin. Jason is a certified fundraising executive and has over a decade of nonprofit management and leadership experience. He joined the Actuarial Foundation in 2015 and since then has been instrumental in expanding the foundation's reach and developing programs and resources around math and STEM education. Jason's, and reflecting on leading in his role leading the Actuarial Foundation, says he's proud to serve and partner with many different supporters and friends, and he's dedicated to this sector because it provides vital math resources. The Actuarial Foundation plays a key role in supporting and developing teachers, students, and STEM-based professions. Next, we're going to hear from their academic resource provider, Scholastic, and Amstutz Hayes, who is a Senior Vice President of National Partnerships at Scholastic. And Anne is responsible for Scholastic's relationships with government, corporate, and non-for-profit partners to create pro-social programming that supports the needs of teachers, students, and families through lessons, digital activities, videos, events, and more. Anne and her team focus on customer service and product quality to ensure that Scholastic's partners and stakeholders benefit from the innovative and effective products and programs that they design. In her more than 20 years with Scholastic, Anne has been directly involved with the most groundbreaking partnerships, including spearheading Scholastic's partnership with the Actuarial Foundation for more than a decade. So Eric and Anne, look forward to hearing from you. Jason, Anne, sorry.
To share our programs with you today. I also want to thank our partners Scholastic and Anne for presenting with me today. As Ted mentioned, we are the only philanthropic organization for the actuarial profession. For the last 25 years, we've used the talent and resources of actuaries to empower American school children with math education and financial literacy. In fact, we are grateful to have some of our actuary volunteer material reviewers for our Expect the Unexpected with Math program on the call with us today. When students use our programs, we move them away from the routine memorization of complex formulas to using numbers as tools to ask creative questions, see the world's patterns, and ultimately think logically to solve problems. Next slide. The foundation provides many programs to meet the needs of students and educators, and I just wanted to briefly touch on those with you today. Our Math Motivators program is a free math tutoring program for disadvantaged high school students. We now have nearly 40 tutoring sites around the United States. Our Modeling the Future is a national scholarship competition for high school students. And our Hardest Math Problem is a national math competition for middle school students. Next slide, please. We also have a robust scholarship program available for college freshmen through seniors who are studying actuarial science. And our Building Your Future program is a financial literacy program really for people of all ages. Today, we are excited to share with you our free Expect the Unexpected with Math program. This program was built in partnership with Scholastic and is designed to support middle school age students and is a fantastic tool during this time of e-learning. I'm going to turn our presentation over to Anne Hayes from Scholastic. As I said, Scholastic has been our longtime partner, helping us connect our program with thousands of students and teachers every year. Anne, please take it away.
In the making. Oh, there, I'm unmuted. So for any of you who don't know about Scholastic, we are 100 years in the making. We were started with a single magazine called the Pennsylvania Scholastic, and we are now in virtually every school and every classroom across the United States, as well as 165 countries globally. And we are in schools with everything from books like Clifford the Big Red Dog and Harry Potter, our book clubs, our book fairs, and what you all may all fondly remember is our classroom magazines, and a number of resources for teachers that exist both in print and online through professional development, and virtually every place that we can assist teachers and families in helping to grow the most educated and interesting students possible. We are delighted to be joining you all today to talk about our, sorry, I went too far, to be talking about our real world math program, Expect the Unexpected with Math, with our partners at the Actuarial Foundation. This program has been just groundbreaking for educators around the country. And as Jason mentioned, it's been a longstanding partnership. It first came about when we were focused on posters and teaching materials that were printed and sent to schools around the country. And today exists as a largely digital program that provides workshops as well as online lessons, games, and the Hardest Math Challenge, which Jason mentioned. And all of these resources are really created with the goal of helping answer that age-old question of what am I going to do with this? Or what am I ever going to need this? So we're really trying to take the concepts that are taught in middle school math classes around the country and put them in a real world context so students understand and really embrace the lessons that they are learning. And as I said, the newest element of this is our student-directed learning modules. And these modules are designed to take that idea of real-world math and give students a fun and engaging way to engage with the materials, to learn, to show what they know, practice, and then show all that they've learned through the course of the program. We do all of this online with a COPA-compliant website, COPA being the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, for anyone who doesn't know. So you'll see here we have a login screen where anyone can log in, and I should say that all of these materials are free to schools around the country, but also accessible by all parents and students directly. And over the course of the last several weeks, obviously, we have seen a huge influx of students coming on their own or being directed by their teachers to come utilize these resources from home. And we've had a lot of wonderful parent feedback as well. But as you can see, we have a login so that students can actually track their progress through our program. So they're each given a unique identifier that is not connected to their personal information in any way. They then have the opportunity to show us initially what they know about a topic, and then go through some learning, and then actually be able to provide us with a post assessment that shows them what they've learned. So rather than telling you about it, I thought if my technology works, we're going to give you a sense of the videos that teach kids about real world math stories. And let's see. So as you can see in the video, we broke it up to shorten it so you could see a little bit of both the video animation as well as the demonstration of the technique and the skill that the students need to learn. And I should have mentioned this is for Scatterplot. We have a variety of different workshops that teach the different skills needed throughout middle school math. And so this is one in particular. Once the students have access to the video to learn about scatter plotting, they're then encouraged to try what they've learned. And we'll give you an example here to see how a student can take the coordinates at the top and apply them to the graph and be able to see then what it looks like when you actually create a line on the graph. And we try positive reinforcement. If somebody gets it wrong, we say that's not quite right. And then when they actually get the correct answer, we then give them a follow-up question to ensure that they actually understand it and they're not just clicking through. So in this particular question, we've asked them which point would be an outlier. So if they're following the understanding of what a scatter plot is, they can understand that if something were at 18 and 78, option C, that would be the incorrect answer. So it's a great program that really does a lot to teach kids, both through learning and absorbing of the materials, but then trial on their own as well. And as I mentioned, throughout all elements of the program, we look to gather data to understand how effective what we are doing is working for the kids. And, as I said, what's most important to us is that what we're doing works. And I'm so grateful for our partners at the Actuarial Foundation to be focused on data. As actuaries, one would expect that, but to be able to use that focus and be able to really ensure that we're teaching students in an effective method. So once they've been through the program, they can demonstrate both in pre and post quizzes what they have learned through the program. So we ask them similar questions, both at the beginning and the end. But one of the questions that's most important to us, and I think from a STEM standpoint, and from a STEM career standpoint, one of the things that we know is critical is confidence. So a lot of kids, as you all know, drop out of math and STEM activities after middle school because they feel like they're not good STEM students. They're not a math kid, they're not a science kid. So what we work on really carefully is to help increase their confidence so that they think of themselves as a math or a science student through these programs. So at the very beginning, we'll ask all the questions about actual aptitude, and then we end with a question about confidence, and we do that again in the post questions. And then we're actually able to show the student their own growth in terms of their knowledge gain with a report on their pre and post program results. So in this particular post program, you'll see that in the pre, they got 4 out of 5 correct. In the post, they got 5 out of 5 correct. And what does that mean? Well, the first thing that it means is that we're seeing incredible engagement from teachers, kids, and families. So this year alone, we are up to nearly 1 million page views for our Expect the Unexpected with Math program, and that's from 257,000 unique students engaging with the materials. So every year we've seen growth, as you can see in this chart, both in terms of page views as well as unique visitors. And we're just thrilled to see the engagement grow so significantly year over year. And with that engagement comes impact. So you'll see here the results that we're able to report back for specifically the scatter plots, which we were just looking at, shows that of those students who did both the pre and the post quiz, and we can tie the student from A to B, we saw almost 4.5% gain in their average correct answers in all 5 questions, and even more importantly, a nearly 25% gain in their confidence levels. So whether they were viewing themselves as very confident, somewhat, or not confident. So we went from 27 to 51, almost 52% confidence. For us, it's incredibly important. As I said, we know the importance of confidence in driving engagement with the sciences and the math sector, not only for continued education, but also for career development. And so we're incredibly proud of that. And we hear it from our teachers as well. So in everything that Scholastic does, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we have a virtually one-to-one relationship with every teacher in the country. And we hear from them every day, whether they're calling 1-800-SCHOLASTIC or sending us notes on in replies to our emails, or going onto our website to give us feedback. We hear from teachers every day about our programs, and we take their feedback extremely seriously. But one of the things that we love to hear is when things work, and obviously when things don't work, we like to fix those things too. But I thought I'd share with you all some teacher testimonials just to share the impact this is having on students. So one educator wrote to us, "My students have used this as a center for state test reviewing. It was so nice to do something different than just reviewing practice worksheets." And that's one of the things that we've seen a tremendous amount of engagement from our teachers, not just this year, but in past years as well, as they look to review the content that they need to ensure that their students are proficient in for their state tests. All of the content is directly correlated to the curricular needs of the math classrooms. So they really are able to go in, have their students do review and or learn new lessons through these wonderful workshops. One of my favorites is that the excitement that a teacher expressed of her student going from 20% to 100% in the post-assessment, and that they could really see that difference. They could see that growth and understand their ability to learn. And of course, we also love to hear what teachers need more of. And here we have a teacher who says, this was an awesome assist for her math classroom. She'd love to see a science or STEM version of these materials as well. So just great engagement from our teachers, and we're super proud of the work that we've done and grateful to the Actuarial Foundation for their partnership to bring these valuable materials to kids and teachers over the last 14 years.
That's great. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation. I was thinking about the sales, and not popsicles, but toilet paper in a worldwide pandemic, or yeast and flour. It seems like we've got some interesting scarcity issues right now confronting us. But thank you very much. That is really impressive. The page views going up so much in the last few weeks, but certainly not surprising. Moving along, we're going to hear from. Awesome. Yeah. One of our next presentation is going to be from one of our corporate members who is very committed to STEM. And anybody that's familiar with STEM Connector will know that almost synonymous with STEM Connector is our partnership with Tata Consultancy Services. And while Tata Consultancy Services is today much more of a known entity than it was 7 years ago when we first launched this partnership, I would view us as one of the many folks that have helped Tata Consultancy. I mean, maybe the New York Marathon sponsorship helped increase their visibility, but I think it's STEM Connector. But we have a warm partnership and really treasure our work that we do together with TCS, as it's known. TCS is a global IT consulting firm, a management consulting firm, and they function as a full stakeholder to their clients, offering a consulting-led approach. They have over 446,000 professionals throughout the world from 146 nationalities. They do top quality work with almost every company, organization that you can imagine. And they take that same rigorous approach to supporting their communities and supporting particularly STEM learning in communities. Today, we're going to hear from Serena Gallegos, who is Engagement Manager for Corporate Social Responsibility in North America. And in this role, she leads the Ignite My Future in School program that she's going to talk to you today about. This is a collaborative education initiative with Discovery Education that's reached over 11,500 educators and more than 671,000 students since fall of 2017. In this role, and I imagine those numbers are probably going crazy right now, so I'm sure we'll hear about that. In this role, Serena works in close partnership with state departments, districts, schools across North America to bring free, high-quality teacher professional development and incorporates computational thinking into all core subject areas. She brings 10+ years experience leading program development and delivery, fundraising initiatives, strategic partnerships, and business development efforts at nonprofits, including CSNYC, CS for All, NIFTY, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. She's a proud former New York City public school teacher and has devoted her career to improving educational experiences, opportunities, and outcomes for young people from underrepresented communities. She graduated from American University with a BA in International Relations and received an MS in Special Education at Hunter College. She's based in Edison, New Jersey. Serena.
Thank you, Ted. Thanks, everyone. So looking forward to sharing a bit about TCS's response to the COVID crisis and a bit more about Ignite My Future in School. So thank you, Ted, for that introduction. My name is Serena Gallegos, and I'm an engagement manager for our corporate social responsibility team in North America. I have the pleasure of working in very close partnership with Discovery Education, among other partners. And so, very excited to be sharing a bit more about the program. So Ignite My Future in School was launched in 2017 in partnership with Discover Education, really as a really thoughtful way to build the capacity of teachers and invest in communities where we live and work. So recognizing we have a very close partnership with STEM Connector and thinking through some of the 5 divides that really exist and gaps that we need to work to close around equity and access TCS has a student-facing program called Go IT, which many of you might be familiar with. I know my colleague John will be sharing more on that in an upcoming series. But Ignite My Future in School was really launched as a way to invest in teachers. Now more than ever, I think, as more parents and families are really sort of in that role, it's increasingly apparent how much our teachers are responsible for on a day-to-day basis. And so TCS, as a leader in the industry, has really figured out how do we harness the abundance we have? How do we leverage that and filter it in a way that's meaningful and accessible for teachers? And now in the time of COVID-19, how do we do the same thing and distill our industry expertise and our core competencies to be accessible for parents as well? So this program, again, launched in partnership with Discovery Education in 2017, has a goal of reaching 20,000 educators and 1 million students by 2021. As Ted mentioned, we're well on our way and numbers are rapidly increasing as teachers are looking for content and shifting into the distance learning movement. And so really proud of this program. What I love most about it is that overarching, the goal is to help teachers integrate computational thinking into their core subject. So really myth busting the idea that computational thinking is relegated to computer science or to STEM, but really can be woven into the arts, into physical education, into social studies, and of course into the STEM fields. We've defined computational thinking as creativity and problem solving sort of meet in the middle, and we're all using these strategies every day. So from building models, finding patterns, data analysis, which of course many of us do on a daily basis, we're considering all of that computational thinking. So the core of the program is really to build the capacity of teachers by explicitly naming those skills, like building an algorithm. So how you might make your coffee or tea in the morning, everyone has their own algorithm for how they do that. Showing a music teacher that when you're teaching how to read music or the steps to a dance, that's also building an algorithm. So again, the theme of the program is to really build the capacity of teachers and now parents, shifting to meet them where they're at. So you can find more about the website here. I'll switch screens in just a bit after I go through the slides to walk you through the site very briefly. Very proud of the program, again, intended to be all foundational skills. So we, TCS, from our unique perch and leverage partnerships with organizations like STEM Connector, World Economic Forum, et cetera, making sure that we're helping teachers build their capacity around foundational schools we know that our students need, and also, as I mentioned, a transdisciplinary approach. The final two pieces are that it's a multi-layer program. So while we do have plenty of resources for teachers that are aligned to Common Core, for those states that opt in, NGSS, CSTA, et cetera, all those sort of buzzwords are there. But we really do leverage local policymakers, government relations, and administrators and families to be able to integrate that feedback loop into improving our content every year. And the piece that I think we're most proud of at TCS from an equity and access lens is that this content, while it's primarily intended for teachers of middle school grades, 6 through 8, it really can be easily laddered up or down for teachers of any subject at any grade level anywhere. So I spoke very briefly about the lessons in the program. So on our website, we have 65 downloadable resources that are completely free of cost. You don't even have to have a login when you access the page. There are robust model lessons that are there that are also differentiated instructions. My former career, I started off as a special education teacher, so differentiated learning is very near and dear to my heart. And so all of this content includes lesson plans, it includes curriculum connectors, videos that you can show students or sort of have them review and think about what are the careers that exist in STEM and how does computational thinking fit into that. One of my favorite, you see some of our most popular lesson plans, of course, outbreak in the time of COVID. So how do viruses spread? What does that mean? Emoji essay is another very popular lesson that we have that really sort of poses to students, what if we only communicated over emojis? As you can imagine, middle school students really love that idea, but really interesting to get them decoding and abstracting and thinking through how we communicate with one another. And not only the sort of skills that we think of as computational thinking, but also those employability skills. So collaboration, someone else on the call previously mentioned, communication is at the core of STEM, and that's certainly true in our content as well. So in light of COVID, our response has been to, through our partnership with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, to launch our Digital Empowers COVID response site. So Across the world, we know schools are shutting down. Everyone is moving to distance learning. I'm based here in New Jersey, and our governor has just ordered that it's sort of an indefinite time of what's happening. Some states have already made the decision to close, putting parents in a very different driving seat than they might have been in the past. So this sudden move to online learning has really amplified challenges, not only from the distance learning perspective, but even thinking through connectivity, accessibility, what does all that mean? So TCS absolutely is responding to that call to think through how do we adapt in this time and make all of our content and resources that are already completely free of cost. How do we drill down and tailor them to make them a little bit more accessible and digestible for educators and for families who don't necessarily have a lot of time? While we might all be home, there's certainly different stressors and different factors in all of our lives competing for our attention. So making sure that we're making things accessible and distilled is important for us. So in order to respond to that more concretely, Ignite My Future in School, we launched a series of distance learning ideas. So they're all based on some of our most popular lesson plans. So destination vacation, for those of you envisioning where you might go as soon as we get through this phase of the crisis, how would you pack? Identifying what to pack, how much to take, etc. If you're like me, I tend to take everything in my closet for a 3-day trip. If you're my fiance, you're taking sort of a grocery bag with a couple essentials. So, but all that is computational thinking and something that's accessible, activates that prior knowledge that students already have and helps teachers think through how to activate that online. So we have a whole suite of these distance learning activities intended to minimize the time they're spending planning, really engaging students in short task-based learning where they're really activating that prior knowledge and context they have. And teachers are then able to differentiate the assignments they have based on a number of factors. So connectivity, whether it's plugged or unplugged, skill set, someone who's around to help the student, quite frankly. So we've taken all those pieces into account in launching this series. So very briefly, I'll pop over to the main website. All this stuff is linked in here and you can certainly follow up. So the main Ignite My Future in School site has all of the resources that I mentioned. So if you go to curriculum, you can see all of the content that we have completely free of cost. Organized, you can search by subject, which is great because it's intended to be, again, transdisciplinary, and then computational thinking strategy as well. So some of the stuff that our teachers are already doing, we've really transformed to be more accessible in this way. And then, of course, we have our COVID response site where if you go and click on Ignite My Future, which is, again, linked in this slide and will be in the one-pager for follow-up, you can see more of the information and things that we've created. So this first suite of activities is available already online. We anticipate that next week we'll also have launched a suite of activities primarily focused for families. So just as engaging and interesting for students, very much stuff that you probably already have at home or can sort of envision. So an example of that could be, you ask your student to think through a celebration that might have to happen virtually, right, in the time of COVID. So what are the elements and planning pieces that your student would have to do? Maybe pantry grocery shopping or coming up with a new outfit wardrobe with the stuff that's already available. So thinking through some of those things. So right now we have a suite of activities for educators, for parents. We'll be launching that next week. And then finally, we're really excited to leverage what we think is our best asset, our employees, and launch a series of videos as well. So all of this stuff will be available on this site. And we'll make sure that the one-pager that's shared with you all reflects that as well. So very, very grateful to STEM Connector for organizing this and allowing us to share a bit more about what we have to offer. And thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Serena. What an amazing response you guys have developed to help students at home. Ashley, I'll leave it to you to close up.
Thanks, Ted, and thank you everyone for staying with us. I know we went a little bit over, but the content was so engaging and so fantastic. So just thank you so much to all of our incredible panelists, for taking time out of your day to share your work, and of course, just for everything that you guys are doing to keep learning active during these very challenging and uncertain times. It's an honor to be working alongside of all of you. We've received a number of questions in the chat function. Some of them we answered in real time, but we will be sure to direct any of the following ones to our panelists and also answer many of them in the follow-up email. We're also going to share contact information for the panelists, key links for accessing this information, as well as the recording of the webinar and the slides. So just to know that that's all coming. But of course, if there's anything else you need from us, please do email us. As I mentioned earlier, this is an ongoing series, and we're just always looking for additional content to share and connections to make. So please stay tuned for future opportunities and share your feedback and suggestions with us. Thank you all just so much once again, and just please be staying safe and healthy. We look forward very much to our next chance to engage with all of you.